Welcome to What is Middleware? My name is John Brunswick and we're going to look at identity and access management capabilities. What are they and why would an organization potentially benefit from leveraging them? In order to do this, we're going to use our two fictional communities. Middleware Fields, where Jim manages all of the building's maintenance and operation. The other, Codaway Valley, where Bob manages all of the building maintenance and operations. Now, Jim and Bob get together periodically to grab a cup of coffee. And last week at coffee, Bob said, "Jim, I hope you don't mind, but I've got a vent. We're having real challenges with regard to access and security throughout our community. You see, we have different facilities like the library, the pool, the maintenance building, and we have a bunch of different homes. Our problem is that if somebody's employed over at the pool just for the summer, what do we do when their employment ends? How do we ensure that they no longer have access to the pool area? And on top of that, if we give somebody access to the maintenance building, there are sensitive filing cabinets in that building with financial information. And we're not certain if people are accessing things that they shouldn't be. Now, on top of that, if somebody loses a key to their home or one of the facilities, it's a real challenge in figuring out who do we go to replace the key and figuring out how long it will take to replace the key. What have you guys done differently in Middleware Fields to avoid some of this?" Well, Jim says, "Look, Bob, don't feel bad. It hasn't always been easy in Middleware Fields. What we realized in a situation like that is we actually could get rid of all of the keys and leverage a key card. This way, with all the different buildings and facilities leveraging key card capability, we could make sure that at the end of somebody's employment at the pool, their key card would automatically revoke access to the pool. We did this on the basis of somebody's role, meaning that if somebody was going to have access to our maintenance building, if they were part of the financial role, they would get access to the financial filing cabinet. If they weren't, they would only get access to the maintenance facility. What we've also done is that there's a central desk that people go to request keys and access across our community. Because they do it at a central spot, we can track exactly the workflow involved in granting somebody access to a particular facility. Because we have the key cards, we also are able to keep track of all of the different things someone can access at any given point in time. We can also report on all of that activity. Now, within an enterprise, we actually face very similar challenges. And there are a couple aspects of identity and access management capability that help us to overcome these. One of them being directory capabilities. So if we think about employees within our organization, we think about contractors working with us or partners, we need to be able to keep track of their identities. In addition to that, when we add somebody into the system or do what's called provision that user, we want to make sure that we also give them role-based access to resources. So based on if they're part of, again, a finance group or potentially a marketing group, we're not going to directly apply permissions to specific applications. We're going to do that by way of assigning them a role. Now, in addition to that, we have the ability to delegate that responsibility. So for instance, if somebody's working within the marketing line of business, they don't have to keep coming to IT every time they want to grant somebody access to particular aspects of an application that they're using. Now, any of the access that is granted is also workflowed. This way we can ensure that there are checks and balances, a segregation of duties, if you will, where if somebody wants access, they request it. They can't grant it themselves, and it needs to be approved before it becomes available. On top of that, self-service capabilities for things like password resets are huge cost savings for organizations because you're able to completely automate that process instead of overwhelming a help desk. Now, on top of all of this are reporting capabilities so that for things like HIPAA and SOX regulations, we can at any given point in time understand exactly who is entitled to what resources within our enterprise. This has been a look at identity and access management capabilities within the What is Middleware series.